There we go. We're live. Are you muted, Beena?
Hello and
We are
welcome to
live, Beena. We are
Moreness-Culture.
live, and you're muted.
Yes, yes. Hello and welcome to Moreness-Culture. Good morning, Syl.
Good morning, Beena. Good morning. Well, we
We
Ted
were
late.
having, we were having some glitch there, and no problem. This is something uh, we all face, and we are surviving anyway. Welcome, Grain. Also, Grain is joining us, and Syl will also join us again soon. So today's thought. Before coming here on Zoom, as you most of the time, this is what happened with me. And I was sharing with Syl that one of my cousin uh, who had a very horrible accident, and she lost her right arm, the whole arm, in the car accident. It was a horrible accident, and but she's a very positive person, so she is doing okay. But every now and then, of course, some sadness, some depression, and things come up. And it's been more than a year now, and I guess yes. And then she shared today. She was sharing with me on call, and it was a very long call for 2 hours. And then she shared something, and in just a normal conversation, she mentioned that before her accident, she was watching a lot of, on regular basis, a lot of YouTube videos and reels, short reels about most horrible accidents. And it was like my thought, the immediate thought was like, okay, so she materialized that thing in her life. And when I shared with Syl, he says that, oh, inappropriate attention. I was like, okay, yes, duh. What else? She was paying attention to that. And then I realized that how we do that. Okay, if nobody wants to have any negative incident or situation to materialize in their life, at least deliberately, they don't want to. But what happened being was there, of course, including inappropriate attention, which is the most important factor. Also that our ego start playing with our subconscious, because when we are watching anything, any situation in life, which we don't have right now, at least not on the surface, we think like that, oh, look, they could do something this different, like, oh, like they could avoid this accident, why they were speeding, why they were being careless, okay, why they choose this car, it was faulty, or why they were like having the loud music, so their attention, things like that. This is a human nature. When we observe something, we try to find some excuses like, okay, yes, why they, of course, attention. I'm again mentioning that and I'm emphasizing that, yes, attention also. Also, that in those moments, our ego start playing that I would not do that because, like, I'm feeling a bit superior here that I can understand. They were not able to understand in their situation. They were not being thorough or anything, but I will not do that. And then the subconscious try to prove itself that yes, I will be not like this, I will be thorough, I know everything about it. And then your subconscious create a situation where you can actually prove yourself.
Inadvertent intent can be set.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. So this was my thought,
very
that
powerful.
We assume that superiority paradigm is something out there. Oh yes, I have to deal with, because there are people who have that superiority paradigm. They are like BMN, they are narcissists. Like everything is out there, not inside me. But you cannot just be at at peace that, oh, and I'm very relaxed that, okay, it is out there, not inside me. You don't know when actually it is going to get into play and come really on the driving seat and start driving us now. The superiority paradigm and understanding of superiority paradigm is very crucial. I'm a super reluctant one to emphasize on that, And I was like, I hardly talk about these things because I don't want this in my life. I don't want to pay much attention, but I can't be ignorant about that too, because it's not only out there, but I have to be on guard inside myself, where I'm going into that. It is not going only about like, okay, oh, I'm just sharing, I'm not telling, okay, I'm not doing this, I'm just okay. We do that. All good people try to be very, very, very thorough about these things. That okay, no, it's not. I'm not something. But look at these type of subtle things where our ego start playing in. And then, of course, our ego trigger our subconscious, and our subconscious start materializing situation where we can approve ourselves, like our inner bureaucrats. Oh, it is true. Okay, now you have a time, you have a situation, an opportunity to prove yourself as a hero. Prove it. It could be again. It could be the situation with my cousin. She was paying attention. So that this is my part of the day. Okay, now Syl, I hope.
Appropriate attention. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. You are done with all your sharing? Okay.
All that time, pretty much, I sit here waiting for. I'm trying to share it to the group, and it just doesn't load. Well, half of the screen come.
Yes. Okay, it is happening, and this is how we are just surviving with this thing.
Yeah.
But these are part of the work.
Molasses. I got molasses in my internet.
Yes. Okay. This is very interesting.
I click our group name, so now it's loading to go share it to the group.
Yes.
I just see little blank box there now.
Yes.
It's got to wait. It's got to wait. At least you can hear me on Zoom. It's good.
Oh yes, yes. It is. The picture is not very clear, but okay. Yes, we can hear you. Yeah. What I'm saying that okay, these type of glitches,
turn off the video for
a second. Yes, these type of glitches. Almost all of us who are using internet in any way, we are familiar with this. Not only familiar, but we are now becoming like used to, accustomed with these things. That okay, this is something yes happened. We don't get panic. We don't get as much as stress as it could be, because we understand these things. Why I'm saying that? Because I feel that there are the difference between the distance between the life right now here in my place and in your place and life online. This difference is getting more and more narrow, like really limited. We are getting more and more closer to almost our online life, and our life is becoming one. We are accepting the glitches. Okay, yes, it happened. It exactly like, okay, you have a power outage. Okay, yes, we understand that. Same like, okay, now we have a low internet, low connectivity. Okay, so we are getting used to with this. Pay attention that how our life are merging. Online life and life is becoming one. There's no more like, okay, oh, this is also life. No, this is life now.
Very powerful.
Yes, so this is how we are understanding. And I was okay, I'm still having this thought that humans are developing a digital sense also, where you can understand the feelings with typed words, without any sound, without any usage of particular words. We are developing this digital sense also, and I still feel that this is happening. Of course, I don't have much explanation about that, but this is something is coming to me. Digital understanding, digital sense, we are developing this. We are in the process of having this sense now. And who knows that in soon in future, we will have this digital sense. Our digital common sense is like, okay, yes.
I think it's important. Yeah.
Sorry?
I think it's important that all of the electronic era, not electrical, but electronic, is a difference, right? Electrical started at somewhere around in the 1800s, late 1800s, right? You know, with light bulbs and stuff like that, which led to fridges and, you know, all that stuff. That's all electrical, yeah? But electronic, this is the computer age, right? Which started roughly Well, for us as regular public, in the 80s, really, right? That's really when computers first came out, and we started to have it in our daily lives more in the 90s. People started to come, the internet came, and we started to understand a bit more. Like now, if we talk about a hard drive, most people know what that means, right? And
Yes.
the computer memory, yeah, which is different to the storage memory, your RAM, right, which is stands for access memory. That that I feel is very important. Plus, from there we got an understanding of the computer itself, how it's built, how it's set up, etc. Yeah, I think this is a very useful analogy. I use it a lot. Like learning, we assume learning, or at least not assume. Our learning institutions are all built around memorizing and remembering stuff. You are tested on whether or not you can remember stuff, not whether you understand. So very different type of a learning, right? Now, in some things, you got practical training and you got tests and you got to demonstrate that you can do it. Like a surgeon, they actually get a test where they go and cut something open, and the lecturers or whoever the testers are observing you to see if you're doing the incision correctly, etc., etc. Right? And this is very key. It's very important to be able to demonstrate that you can actually do it. And the surgeon's not tested on whether or not they remember to say, well, you got to hold the scalpel at this degree, you make the decision incision at this speed. That's ridiculous, right? It doesn't make any sense. So in some things there is practical, but in many other things, it's all about your memory. And yeah, in activity, some this is important. You've got to be able to remember, recall. But even in something like law, which knowing the laws is very crucial. But you don't need to remember all laws if you understand law itself. Yeah? And I can attest to this from personal experience. Yeah? It's a long story, and I won't share it now. It's a very long story, actually, about where I broke the law intentionally. I knew I was breaking the law, and I got away with it. Not only did I get away with it, but the reason that I did it was upheld. 32-page judgment was a very big deal. Uh, and that's very key. This is very important to understand. Why did I do that? The point I'm making is because I understood the law. I understood that you can do a lesser wrong to prevent a greater wrong. This is the law makes allowance for this. And so I didn't have to know which specific law that applied to. I simply had to understand the law. Then you can go up and look up the laws that are pertinent and relevant to that, right? At least in those days, it would have been harder. You'd have to physically go through all of the things, right? But you today with Google searches or database searches, no problem, right? But back then it would have been a bit more difficult. Nonetheless, my point is to understand.
Yes, it is dropping again and again, but no problem. We will continue as long as we can. And Syl will continue with his story. But of course, I don't have anything about it, so I cannot share. But we can continue about that how inappropriate attention is can materialize things in our life, and how we can be not aware of it. Sometimes it happens, like with the helping thing. Syl was sharing this, and like 2 years ago, it was at least the first time when I hear this concept that how the intent of helping is affecting negatively. And I was like, how this could be? Of course, like it was not something making sense to me. And it happened because Spencer mentioned that when most of the people nowadays having this intent, a very good intent, of course, very noble, that I want to help others. But to help others, you need something which needs to be corrected. And if it is not there, of course, you are going to materialize that. And this is something, again, it was inappropriate attention, and of course, the inappropriate application of goodness. And this is what I can see and observe now. Okay, yes, this is what is happening in many cases. Sorry, still, I was just continuing with my thing because I had no idea what your story is all about. So
No,
that's why I
no,
just
very cool.
continued.
It's all connected. It's all connected, Beena. I
Yes,
was saying that, we understand, don't need to remember as much. Memory is still useful, but understanding trumps memory almost every time. And
yes.
it's very key that we need to do this. All right, Beena, I sent you the link on Facebook for this book. I mean, a good link to have, and you can bookmark it as well, right? All Carlos books, right? It's a very handy link. They have it bookmarked already. But anyway, and you can open it and to see on page 88, just in case because I'm dropping every now and then, right?
Yes, yes. Let me pull that up. Still, are you there?
Yeah. I'm just waiting for
Okay.
you. Yeah.
No, no, please continue. At least talking, keep talking so I can understand that, okay, you are there.
Okay. I thought you were there. All right. So we continue with Carlos's structural analysis, which is at the end of his story, and he's in full intellectual mode. And hence my background picture, which let me put it on again. You see Carlos, his intellectual cap over there, and it seems like kind of a sword type of thing there. I don't know. Anyway, but it's more for the intellectual thing with his academic cap on. Very status orientated. It's like you gotta look nice. Not really. That cap has no practical value. Man of knowledge had unbending intent. And I mentioned this before, really, because man of knowledge should be capitals and hyphens. And he says, this is him doing the analysis now, right? We did that. He said that's the clarity of intent. And we read that last time. Yeah. And then the second point in the criteria for a man of knowledge, according to Carlos, I don't put too much into this. I mean, yeah, some of it is important. A man of knowledge had clarity of mind. Now, in vocabulary, you probably heard us talk about clarity of intent over and over and over again. Clarity of mind is one thing. Clarity of intent is quite another. You can have clarity of mind, but not have clarity of intent. And that changes everything. Yes, you see this often with people. They have clarity of mind. They're quite clear about what they're doing, but their intent is all messed up. And like cousin, she may have had good clarity of mind watching those videos, not be in a confused state, yeah, and seeing the videos. Actually, her clarity of mind may really have been the problem, actually, that she had clarity of mind, thus was paying full attention, deep attention to those videos. Because she had no clarity of intent. She set an inadvertent intent, which then potentially realized. I'm not saying it is so, but potentially, right? So we have to understand the difference between clarity of mind and clarity of intent. Again, that capital U, understanding. Yeah. We have to use our clarity of mind to develop our awareness, to develop discernment, and to develop understanding. If you don't, you're kind of wasting the clarity of mind. Yeah. It doesn't really mean anything. So clarity of mind could simply be lack of confusion, yeah, lack of fogginess. Doesn't mean that using that clarity well. The most appropriate use of clarity of mind is to develop awareness, understanding, discernment, or the awareness, discernment, understanding you, and then apply it. Right. So those four things, and of course, in that process, you are going to understand that you have clarity of intent. This is what you're applying it for in order to implement your intent. And clarity of intent is absolutely crucial. Because, like I said also, Beena's cousin may inadvertently have set an inadvertent intent, not even realizing this. In other words, she didn't have clarity of intent. She wasn't focused on clarity of intent. If you have clarity of intent, you know what you are intending. Like Beena and I, what are we intending, Beena? We're intending awareness, discernment, understanding, application. We are intending
Yes.
goodness. We are intending joy. We are intending moreness. Very simple. If I'm intending moreness, this is where this term moreness comes in, this conception of moreness, which is a philosophy. It is a culture, right? So philosophy doesn't necessarily mean you're living it. When you live your philosophy, that's your personal culture. Yeah.
Yes.
Not necessarily, because culture come about from tradition and everything, but really this is your way of being and way of living. When you have an intent to moreness, you're not going to bring things like that into your life. Now, you may say, yeah, but you know what, so sometimes attunement will bring things that aren't pleasant or really radical, because you really, really need to learn something. Yes. If you have an intent to moreness, if you have an intent to awareness, discernment, understanding, which you could say that's an intent to learning and growing. Yes, because application is in there too. That's all intents to learn and grow. Yeah, you can't grow without application. See, so that's why it's learning and growing, not just learning, which are all intents that Beena and I have as part of. They come from a moreness intent. So since we are always making an effort to learn and grow, and we'll never deny opportunity or avoid opportunity or lessons that need to be learned. If they come, we learn them, and we're eager to learn them. Therefore, we do not need to have unpleasant lessons. And we're paying attention to anomalies, because you say, yeah, but how do you know what you need to learn? I don't. I pay attention to what the universe brings me. Right? Especially if it comes via an anomaly, and I make the effort to learn. Therefore, I avoid the possibility of me needing to learn via unpleasant experience. That only comes when you've refused to learn, when you've avoided learning, when you've not paid attention to learning. You may not have done it deliberately, but when you inadvertently or vertently, either way, not learned, then the universe, it's like, your parents or teachers, they tell you nicely to learn, or they ask you nicely, or give you the opportunity to learn by yourself, right? And then you don't learn, and you get asked to learn, and then you get maybe a little bit stricter, and then you get a smack, and then you learn. The universe is similar, right? So if we have this intent to learn and make that effort to learn, and not refuse learning at any point, we never get those lessons where we are forced to learn via unpleasantness. We learn joyfully, we learn happily, we learn delightfully, we learn eagerly, we learn enthusiastically, and of course we learn with great earnest enthusiasm, right? So this is the methodology, and that's all comes from clarity of intent. Our intent is to learn, yes, Beena, and to learn joyfully, learn pleasantly, learn happily, and a path with heart. Our path, the heart of our path is the joy of learning, the joy of discovery, the joy of expanding, the joy of connecting to moreness on a constant basis. Very clear intent. Yeah? So avoid that inadvertent intent for nonsense. All right, so clarity of mind. Now I want to, well, you can read a bit, Beena. I'm a bit, I need to drink some water. Please read about clarity of mind. And keep in mind, really what Carlos is saying is clarity of intent here, not clarity of mind. Yes?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
So you said, okay, it was page 88.
Page 88, yes. Yes.
Okay.
A man of knowledge had clarity of mind. Clarity of mind was the theme that provided a sense of direction. The fact that all acts were predetermined meant that one's orientation within the knowledge being taught was equally predetermined.
Okay,
As a consequence, clarity of mind supplied only a sense of direction. 1 second, I want to comment on this. Okay. This is a great misunderstanding by Carlos. This is his academic mindset coming to bear. He doesn't understand anomalies or even omens, as Don Juan calls them, right? But anomalies is a better term because we'll see later on. Omens is a problematic term. But he thinks that there's some order that Don Juan got from his teacher, his benefactor, and so on, has been passed down, that you do step A, step B, step C. No. Predetermined, it means comes from the universe. There's no order in which you do this necessarily. It's not hard and fast. It will depend on the individual. Don Juan customizes for Carlos all the time. So this is a great misunderstanding, right? So please continue there by it reaffirmed.
It reaffirmed continuously the validity of the course being taken through the componentist ideas of freedom to seek a path, knowledge of the specific purpose, and being fluid. It was believed that one had.
So now our side.
Yes.
Look at what Carlos is saying there and start to use Way-Of-Impeccability, Language-Of-Conceptionality, and we start to see how he's starting to kind of get it. Knowledge of the specific purpose, directive intent, right? Being fluid, that's appropriateness, yes? Being fluid, flexible, and adaptive. Freedom to seek a path, that's choice, capital C choice, right? So he kind of starting to get it here, but he still has to put it more together, right?
Yes. It was believed that one had freedom to seek a path. Having the freedom to choose was not incongruous with the lack of freedom to innovate.
Yeah.
These two ideas were not in opposition.
All right, so there we are. Sorry, Beena.
No.
Sorry. This is important here. I mean, we're doing a capital reading, and I have to comment on these. Having freedom to choose was not incongruous with a lack of freedom to innovate. Now, Carlos kind of is catching the tail end of things here a little bit. Where this comes in is when you live via attunement. When attunement brings you something, right, you have to innovate on the specific invitation, but you do not have freedom to innovate whether or not you wish to well, you do, but well, let me back up. When attunement brings you something and it says, yeah, do this, right? And it's very clear, yeah, do this. You can choose not to, but then because your intent and the intent of the universe is to learn and grow and develop your awareness, it's going to bring you something similar. Maybe not as pleasant, but something similar. So now you've got to understand this, right? That yes, you have the freedom to say no, but also have the freedom to be stupid. You have the freedom to make bad decisions, bad choices, right? This is our freedom. So we always have the freedom to be foolish, right? Is it truly a choice? Of course, it technically is, because we see people choosing to be stupid all the time and foolish all the time. But when you are aware it's a foolish choice, is it really a choice? No. Therefore, when attunement brings something to you and you know that this is a sensibility above your understanding, beyond your understanding, more than your understanding, you, even though you don't know why, and in that, you don't really have a freedom, but it is a freedom, right? It's not, but it is. And this is where this freedom to innovate, though, this is not quite the right word. It's more freedom not to pursue the path. You're on a path with heart. Well, you follow the path. Either that or you get off the path. The moment you stop following it, well, you're either going to stagnate or get off it and do something else. See? So understand it in that context. Now, when it comes to innovate, there's lots of freedom to innovate. Carlos is thinking things like when it came to the mixture for the smoking mixture, or the steps to follow with the plant, with devil's weed, right? There were specific steps we didn't have freedom to innovate. But even there was some room for innovation because these things developed over time. So it's not complete lack of freedom, right? Because he says it, lack of freedom. No, there was some. But again, whenever you're doing something, especially something that's dangerous, you can innovate. It's just high risk. So the lack of freedom to innovate isn't a prescription. It's just a sensibility. If you're going to go around experimenting, fine, that's cool. And some people did. That's how they got to understand that this is the high cost involved. But when it comes to living in with attunement, you typically get given the path or the task. How you do it, that's completely up to you. So that you have in complete and utter freedom. You get said, yeah, paint this painting, of a tree. You paint any tree you like. The object is to paint a tree. However you want to paint it, it don't matter, right? So that's often, well, that's typically how attunement is. Whatever it is that you need to do, you can do it in whichever way you like, as long as you do the thing itself, the requirement, which is a point of learning. You're looking to acquire the awareness via a particular path, task, whatever. And that innovation, if you get to the awareness, that's the objective, no matter how. So important to understand here, right? And also this lack of freedom to innovate. He's taking it with the specificness of those technical details of how to deal with the power plants. That's not in general when it comes to learning. He's confusing the two here, right? Because to him, he sees being a man of knowledge. This was all about having allies. And yes, the devils need the smoke, those are allies. Well, and then Mescalito, which Don once said, no, Mescalito is not an ally. He's a teacher. But Carlos has still got all three lumped together here, right? Yeah, it's very interesting. All right, please continue, Beena.
This is okay. You actually just just poured some really profound ideas to think about. Like, okay. Anyway.
Oh yeah. It's a very beautiful. That's why that's where capital R reading comes from. You cannot continue unless you really understand. Otherwise, you end up putting false beliefs, false ideas, misunderstandings into your brain. So now, when we understand this and we think it through to the end, we start to say, wow, oh, that's pretty profound, which means I've changed my life. If you do this, whenever you encounter new ideas, if you think them through and then they turn out to be profound, if you then say, wow, that's profound, let me stop here, let me integrate this, let me make this my own, you actually change. You don't delay it and put it off for some other time. When are you going to do the implementing of the profound new awareness that you acquired? Why on earth would you want to delay it? No, now is the time. Make it your own, implement it, there you go. And when you are at peace with your understanding, then you move on. Then and then only. Don't say, oh, I'll come back to it later. Do you ever? No, you don't. So don't kid yourself. Don't guess yourself. Come back to it. Do it now. That's why we are doing capital R readings, so that we can take those implications, those meanings, that moreness, and connect to it. This is what we're doing. We are not just delaying it and say we'll come back to it, because you never do. And you spend your whole life trying to come back to it, or imagining that you'll come back to it, and BSing yourself, and you never will. Right? So it's a lot of very big points here, right? So this freedom to choose and not having freedom to innovate. It's really, you have the freedom to choose to be stupid or not, and innovate. Again, Carlos got it all mixed up here, but we don't have to worry too much here about it, right? Anyway, you please continue, Beena. Unless there's something that you want to integrate, then share your process of processing this information.
Simple, like, okay, I'm just going to just sit with this, and then okay, that keep thinking, and then of course it is going to unfold. This is how it happens with me. So yes, I'm going.
And Beena does, by the way, when Beena says, "Oh, I've got to think about that," she does, and then later, tomorrow, next week, I've been thinking about that, and we come back to it, because it's not that she's putting it off. She is just allowing the process internally to go. It's like she's putting a stew in the slow cooker, and it has to cook for a few days,
Exactly.
And so she's not delaying it. There's a difference to say, I'm going to let it process, and the process takes time. That's very different to delaying it, right? To say, I've put all the elements in the pot, I added all the ingredients, I put the pot, it's on slow, there we go, off you go. I love it.
Yes.
So
Just
brilliant.
want to add something
So
here
brilliant.
because you mentioned this. It is sometimes when I say that, okay, no, I don't have anything because I don't want to spoil that moreness right there. Because sometimes when I'm not able to grab that moreness, but I'm aware that there is more, I don't want to add anything just for the sake of saying something. And okay, oh, it has come to be, and now I will just let it be to really it fold itself on its own accord, unfold itself on its own accord. And it happens really. If you set your intent that you want to learn, it will happen. It will say, okay, oh, it is bigger than my understanding right now. Okay, I'm not able to grasp the moreness of it. Okay, so just let it be with you, and time will come when things will make connections and it will unfold itself, and you will be like, oh my God. And this happened on regular basis with me. When Syl shares something, mostly when I share, like right now I'm sharing, it is because that, okay, it's been processed already, at least at this stage,
Yeah.
it's been processed and I have shared with Syl. And Syl, of course, know me. But, and this is the process I'm practicing. But like this before, when he was saying about Carlos and then, of course, all the things, I was like, okay, I don't want to put on anything else right now because it's already enough for me.
Yeah.
More than enough, actually. So, okay, so let it be. And I just surrender on this thing. This is the word where I can use uh, surrender, because sometimes to the
Yeah.
moreness and
Yeah.
sometimes to the awareness, you have to just say that, okay, yes, it is what it is. I'm not going to put any idea, any perspective, any shade or any tint on it. I will just allow it to be and then it will come to me. That's it.
Wonderful.
And this practice is
Wonderful.
really
Wonderful.
powerful, really powerful.
Oh, incredibly so. Incredibly so.
Yes. Okay,
Very
so
big
let's
deal.
continue with this. The criterion for choosing was the advantage of one possibility over others, based on one's preference. As a matter of fact, the freedom to choose a path imparted a sense of direction through the expression of personal inclinations. Oh, the freedom to choose a path imparted a sense of direction through the expression of personal inclinations. Okay. Another way to create a sense of direction was through the idea that there was a specific purpose for every action performed in the context of the knowledge being taught. Therefore, a man of knowledge needed clarity of mind in order to match his own specific reasons for acting with the specific purpose of every action. The knowledge of the specific purpose of every action was the guide he used to judge the circumstances surrounding any need to act. Another facet of clarity of mind was the idea that a man of knowledge, in order to reinforce the performance of his obligatory actions, needed to assemble all the resources that the teachings had placed at his command. This was the idea of being fluid. It created a sense of direction by giving one the feeling of being malleable and resourceful. The compulsory quality of all
Malleable.
acts,
Yeah.
sorry,
No, just the pronunciation there. I think it was malleable.
malleable, and resourceful. The compulsory quality of all acts would have imbued it or imbued one with a sense of stiffness or sterility, had it not been for the idea that a man of knowledge needed to be fluid. To become a man of knowledge was
Very
a
good.
matter of
Yeah.
strenuous labor.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's look at that point of fluid. Yes.
Yes.
And let's look at the power of wave impeccability, which is also the language of conceptionality. Instead of, let's say, fluid, let's say a man of knowledge has to be appropriate and have the ability to be appropriate. When we understand this in the context of appropriateness rather than fluidity, it's very powerful. Now, when we go to our dictionary of power and we look up appropriateness, we see appropriateness context and goals, motivation, intent, etc. And we see another entry there that says appropriateness, having the ability to be flexible, fluid, and adaptable. Oh, right? Fluidity, flexibility, and adaptability. Okay. Now, because we're adding in fluidity and flexibility, which is not always the same thing, yeah, and adaptability. But when you understand the necessity for fluidity, yeah, this word fluidity, why? Appropriate. Oh, to be appropriate. All right, then it all falls into place. Right? And now we've got appropriateness, and a term that incorporates fluidity. With fluidity, you don't necessarily get to appropriateness. See? I can just, all right, take fluidity and take the problem of fluidity. Yes, this term Carlos is used in the late 60s. What was one of the main expressions? And I'm dropping out of the system. I'm not going to be doing what the man says. I'm just going to live and go with the flow. Yeah, that was a very important philosophy, ideal. It was an ideal, this just be natural and go with the flow. Nobody really had any clue as to what this meant. As a result, you had all sorts of inappropriate behavior as a consequence. Yeah? Which go with the flow has become synonymous really with being undisciplined, being irresponsible, and being unclear and not really having an idea what you're doing. Basically, living your life as a mess. The intent back in the 60s was to live in attunement, but nobody had the language to say it. Up until now that I'm using this term, yeah, and I've just started using it relatively recently, I don't know, 10 years back, something like that, right? So this is go with the flow and being fluid, right? This is really meaning to live in attunement. But see why I'm saying it's important to understand your constitutionality. Because just to be fluid, if you don't have this connectivity to appropriateness and to attunement, attunement is ultimate appropriate connectivity, ultimate appropriate harmony, ultimate appropriate flow, ultimate appropriate flexibility, ultimate appropriate adaptability. All of it, right? If you only have this term, man, is fluid. Yeah, fluid. Well, I'm going with the flow. That's what fluid is. I mean, if you truly are going with the flow, literally, you need to be fluid. You cannot go with the flow if you're not fluid, yeah? But it's a partial analogy, and it to a misunderstanding. And of course, if you understand superiority paradigm and you understand the psychology of it, which also has indulgence, then Don Juan is going to use this term indulgence a lot. And indulgence is basically being crappy. There's no other way to really say it better. Sorry, Beena, but it's a powerful way of saying it, right? Where you are doing less than what is appropriate, less than what is ideal. You are deliberately choosing to try and take the shortcut, or doing less than is appropriate, right? And you're not being impeccable, in other words, right? So indulgence is flat lack of impeccability. And it's very important to understand this. And when we look at going with the flow, at how those who were looking for a cop-out, who were looking for an excuse, a justification to indulge, we get going with the flow. The original intent was to harmonize, be one with spirit, be one with the universe. It was a spiritual intent, which became subverted into a lazy cop-out, excuse, justification for not wanting to take responsibility, make effort, etc. Right? Now, you didn't have to be all buttoned up, corporate. You can be very spiritual and not be into the whole rat race, but you're still going to have to be disciplined. You're going to have to be diligent, thorough, etc. You still have to be impeccable. I mean, it doesn't matter in what you're doing. No matter how much you are out of the system, you still need to be. And when we understand this, if you are going to be completely out of the system, You still have to be impeccable. I've spoken about this a lot in that my time in the desert. Yeah,
Yes.
impeccability, even in every footstep, was required. But I was completely out of the rat race, out of the whole regular way of living. Yes, it was a very spiritual whole endeavor. Got via attunement, totally, utterly, and going with the flow was completely how I got there. But that going with the flow didn't mean like whatever, and just living with hopeful wishfulness. And you see those people who live with going in the flow, don't they always get into trouble in a big way? And then they kind of expect everybody to bail them out. And they do get help, but it's really not cool because you are lynching, you are exploiting, and you are distorting, and you're taking advantage of people's business to bail you out. Now, of course, they don't always, they still struggle and you have a hard time, but this is the fool's life. I want to make this very clear that, even just there where Carlos is using this term must be fluid, let's understand what this means. In Don Juan's context, absolutely you've got to be fluid, but you've also got to be impeccable at the same time. Part of your impeccability is to be fluid. Yes? So it's not fluid on its own. Fluid on its own can, like I said, be this kind of drop out, couldn't care less, irresponsible, just people that are, they struggle in life and they make their struggle everybody else's struggle as well. Right? Everybody's got to help them and bail them out all the time. Dreadful, 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 really dreadful. Anyway, so it's very important to understand all of this, right? Fluidity is more to fluidity than here, which is why the language of conceptionality is so powerful. It goes all the way, that you don't end up with these poorly conceived conceptions and cause you lots of trouble. As we see, there was a whole culture got themselves into trouble because they weren't able to conceive appropriately. Yeah. Very important.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes. To become a man of knowledge was a
Please
matter
continue.
of strenuous labor. A man of knowledge had to process or had to develop in the course of his training an all-around capacity for exertion. Juan stated that to become a man of knowledge was a matter of strenuous labor. Strenuous labor denoted a capacity to put forth dramatic exertion, to achieve efficacy, to meet challenge. In the path of man of knowledge,
All right, let's
drama.
back to Beena.
Yes.
Beena on the point of strenuous labor, right?
Yes.
And this whole section here.
Yes.
This is, again, let's go back to our prevailing paradigm culture. Learning, we said earlier, right? It's still in our culture. Learning is believed to be a matter of not only memory, but also strenuous labor. Learning is work, learning is effort. Yeah? And therefore, learning is by default something unpleasant. Therefore, it means that children need to be forced, coerced, pressured, and essentially bullied into learning. If you don't learn, you'll be punished. It is horrible, 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 really dreadful, terrible, and wrong-headed, idiotic understanding of learning. Learning is play, for crikey's sake. Pay attention. How do animals learn? They learn through play. Yeah? So do humans. Learning is the most joyful thing of all, but we get taught. We learn to learn as strenuous labor, as awful, as work, as stressful, as unpleasant. What a complete travesty and tragedy. Yeah. What do we do every day, Beena?
Yes, it's trying, learning, and of
We
course,
learn.
yes.
Right. Now,
The consequence of it, of course, boring.
this point of right. So right when it comes to these points there, 1, 2, 3, do we put forth dramatic exertion?
No.
When necessary, absolutely.
Yes.
Well, we do, but not in that. It's not a dramatic and it's not exertion. Do we make a lot of effort to learn? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand it, and somebody listening, oh, well, why are they disagreeing here? We're not. It is. I am saying we are doing it, but Beena is saying no, and the reason why is because for Beena it's not stressful. It's not a traumatic exertion. Yeah,
Yes.
because we enjoy what we're doing. We don't have this underlying perversion of learning. So we do make dramatic exertion, but it's not a dramatic exertion to us. Take these lives, Beena.
Yes.
From Carlos's point of view, oh, do we make dramatic exertion?
Oh, wow. Really?
See, we do. We do. That's why when I said yes and you said no, it's a matter of perspective here. And when we come at via Carlos, well, yes, of course they're making a dramatic exertion here. And they put every effort they can into what they're doing. They don't skimp, they're not sitting back there and just, whatever, right? We make an effort, we're leveraging our energy. To us, the experience is not dramatic exertion, it is joy. And that's the difference between play and work. Play, you make dramatic exertion when you are playing, but nobody calls what they're doing when they're having fun and play dramatic exertion. That's for work, that's for stress, right? And second point, to achieve efficacy, we hope so. This is something that may be up to debate, but when we are doing things for ourselves, we really make that point of to achieve efficacy. Sharing with others, this is more difficult, but if you're doing the program, we are going to facilitate you achieving efficacy. That's the tools of Way-Of-Impeccability. Of course, if you're just listening, it's not enough, depending on how you listen, right? You got to do repeat backs, takeaways, all this stuff, right? And 3, to be challenged. Every single time, I'm just using our lives, we meet challenge. We love challenge. We enjoy the challenge, right? A challenge comes in many different ways, like for people's comments. Those can be a challenge sometimes. Not because we're getting trolls, but because somebody may say something, a comment, and it's coming from within the superiority paradigm. Now, that doesn't mean that they're a BMN or anything, or a BS. No, they are just using that language. So it's challenged to diplomatically say, well, like when people say agree and disagree. Yeah, part of Moreness-Culture is to throw those two ideas right up and stop. No, we don't care about agree and disagree. It's of no value, really. Understanding, this is what we add. So now I have to share an awareness with somebody, and somebody in the superiority paradigm. If I share an awareness, they take it as correcting or as criticism, and I've had this, right? When I'm doing something and somebody's so deep that they can't see I'm just sharing, right? And I need to share because they've gotten a mistaken idea. Right? They think it's all about agree and disagree. And when I say no, it's really, or not even no, I say actually there's a way we can go beyond that, go to understanding. It's a challenge to share without triggering their defense mechanisms. Oh, now I'm being criticized. See, lots of challenges. So when you are sharing a different paradigm, you have incredible challenges of communication, of sharing, of not causing inadvertent friction. And it doesn't always work because sometimes people are so entrenched in the superiority paradigm, they can't hear what you say. It all gets filtered. Right? So the point I'm making here is that we are very much meeting these criteria, right? But I want to make this absolutely clear. Strenuous labor. When you are engaged in play, is a joy. When you're engaged in what we typically understand as work, then it is strenuous labor and not fun, in other words, a hassle. When you want to do it, it's a joy. This is where deliberate living comes in. When you are being deliberate, you undertake strenuous labor and it's a joy because you are territory, you know exactly why you're doing it. You know the value of what you're doing, and it's a joy to do it because it has purpose and meaning and significance. MPS, right? Meaning, purpose, significance. Another way of saying MPS is to say mones per second, magic per second. Right? Very, very important. So again, you know, what we're doing here is very well thought through. It is extremely cohesive and comprehensive.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Please continue, Beena.
And where were we? I've just lost one.
In the path of man of knowledge.
Okay.
Or
In the
person of
path of a
knowledge.
man of knowledge,
I
Rama.
like to read it as person.
Okay.
Sorry.
In the path of a man of knowledge, drama was undoubtedly the outstanding single issue, and a special type of exertion was needed for responding to circumstances that required dramatic exploitation. Oh, that is to say, a man of knowledge
Yeah.
needed
Yeah.
dramatic exertion. Taking Don Juan's behavior as an example at first glance, it may have seemed that his dramatic exertion was only his own idiosyncratic preference for his histrionics. Yet, his dramatic exertion was always
Yeah.
much more than acting. It was a rather profound state of belief.
Yeah.
He imparted through dramatic exertion the peculiar quality of finality to all the acts he performed. As a consequence,
Let's
then,
pause there. Let's pause there.
yes,
Beena?
yes,
Beena?
yes, yes,
Yet his dramatic exertion was always more than acting. It was rather a profound state of belief, right? And this also, it seemed that his dramatic exertion was only his own idiosyncratic preference for histrionics. No, it is about appropriateness and acting via attunement, living via attunement. When attunement brings you something, yeah, you do it. You act without agenda. Now, whatever I'm being, let's say, take these lives now, right? We're doing these lives because of attunement. I may personally have no interest in doing it. Yet, I need to put my full energy into it, regardless of my personal like or dislike. Right? So personally, I couldn't care two hoots about doing a live, yet attunement said do it. I put my fullness into it, giving it all of the appropriate, all right, drama here is a very dramatic word, the appropriate necessary energy level by it. I can't come and do these lives and, you know, Don Juan is pretty interesting. And yeah, I mean, that would just be inappropriate. Yeah. To have that kind of completely disinterested, bored, flat tone. Yeah. So drama, energy, it is about energy, appropriate energy level in what you do. Yes. And also about having fun. See? It's a joy to be in attunement, but your personal dislikes have nothing to do with it. Right? You learn act without agenda, but you're also leveraging, right? So the drama is there also for necessary emphasis. This is not a conception that is in Carlos's language. Actually, Don Juan doesn't really use it either, or doesn't use it. He understands this dramatic exertion. This is emphasis, right? It's all about emphasis, which is appropriate. Make sense, Beena?
absolutely. Yes.
Please continue.
He imparted through dramatic exertion the peculiar quality of finality to all the acts he performed. As a consequence, then his acts were set on a stage in which death was one of the main protagonists. Protagonist. Oh, it was,
Protagonist. So this is
yes,
very key here. This is very
yes,
key here, right?
yes,
Protagonist. All right. Beena, death.
yes,
Why does Don Juan bring in death as a protagonist? Because it leverages all of our acts. It's emphasis. It's saying, look, when you do things without death, yeah, it doesn't really matter. The moment you bring death into the picture, suddenly they get to be really serious and important and valuable, and you're paying attention and you're all alert, you're all energized. Yeah. So
yes,
death is a leveraging factor, capital L leverage. Very important to understand. The same thing with the drama. It's all about emphasis and capital L leverage. He's not only leveraging Carlos's attention, but Carlos's energy, Carlos's mindset, everything, Carlos's moods. Yeah. So all of this is this dramatic exertion, as he calls it. It is emphasis for the purpose of leverage. Yeah. Leveraging oneself. Incredibly powerful. Again, look at the language here. Yes, I'm bringing leverage. Don Juan doesn't, this emphasis doesn't use it. When we understand this, leveraging energy, unbelievable. Not just utilizing energy well, that's a very different thing. Yeah, to leveraging energy. Yes.
Yes.
Very different.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It was implicit that that was a real possibility in the course of learning because of the inherently dangerous nature of the items with which a man of knowledge, it's jumping anyway, a man of knowledge dealt. Then it was logical that dramatic exertion created by the conviction that death was ubiquitous. I don't know what is the pronunciation for that.
Ubiquitous,
Okay.
all over,
Ubiquitous.
applying in any circumstance, all
Okay,
circumstance. Yeah.
ubiquitous flair was more than histrionics. Exertion entailed not only drama,
Yeah.
but also the need of efficacy. Exertion had to be effective. It had to
All right,
possess
so
the
hang on, let's take the death. Death was a ubiquitous play.
Yes.
If the average person in today's world understood this, took this to heart, car accidents would go down dramatically. Accidents in general go down dramatically. Yeah, because people do not see death as a ubiquitous player, ubiquitous in everything, all over, in every single little bit, right? It's like air is ubiquitous. Yeah?
Yes.
So when you think of it in that sense, when you understand that if people would be aware that death is a ubiquitous player, they'd be a lot more careful in doing things like driving. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Important.
Wow. Okay. It's a delay for me. I'm just continuing.
Yeah, yeah. We have a lot of lag. That's okay. It's just time to think about things.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody's quitting. I can't see. Norma's here. Brilliant. Norma says emphasis for the purpose of leverage. Yes, capital L leverage, leveraging our attention, leveraging our energy, leveraging our mindset, leveraging our desire to learn, leveraging our purpose, leveraging our intent. Leverage is incredible. Why does leverage, that word leverage, make so much difference, right? So if I'm walking along the road and there's a big boulder in the road, and I say, oh, there's also a tree branch. Here's my tree branch, yes? And well, I got to move the boulder. How can I push on the boulder just with my own? That's not helping. Well, I've heard about leveraging. All right, well, there's a tree branch here. Let me go and use this. Now, the tree branch is a potential tool. This is the tree branch, and this is the boulder over here, right? If I just push on the boulder with the tree branch, yes, I know it's a big joke with my boulder head, yes, but okay. Anyway, so if I just push on it, that doesn't really make a difference. It's not an effective use of the environment of the tools. That tree branch isn't a lever until I use it as a lever. When I do put it in underneath and I have a fulcrum point, and see, I can move it really easily. Yeah? Now I am taking the elements around me and using them in a particular way allows me to do more than I could do with them just in ordinary way, right? When I just push with the branch, nothing happens. It's the same as me pushing. It doesn't really benefit me in any way. But when I use it as a lever, different. We can use many things as a lever. I said to Beena the other day, I use procrastination sometimes to leverage my motivation. And this really grabbed Beena. It's like, wow. Remember Beena? It was a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, right, emphasis for the purpose of leverage. This is what Norma's comment was there. Norma commented in, she sent me a message there, because I think the comments, my internet is so slow that normally I see them on Restream in real time, but I don't know if you've commented there or not, but I don't see it. So this is key. Emphasis is incredible brain leveraging power. Because you not only, when you emphasize something, it doesn't only help you to remember it, it also helps you to understand it. Yeah? Because you're connecting to other nodes. It helps you through emphasis. You're connecting your conception to the other conceptions. No conception stands in isolation. They're all connected. And that connecting is what allows for the greater understanding. The greater understanding allows for your ability to use the conception as appropriate. Yeah, all works together. So yes, very important point. Marvelous, wonderful, Norma. Very important, very important. So yeah, I'm glad you're here, Norma. Even if it's via, that's all good. I love it when you're here. So this is, all of this is very, very important. It's a short little chapter here, or sections, not even a chapter, it's a section. But to become a man of knowledge was a matter of strenuous labor. But boy, is it ever important, right, Bean? At least to understand appropriately, yeah, because Carlos gets it all wrong here, right? So please continue here where you were. Exertion entailed.
Yes, exertion entailed not only drama, but also the need of efficacy. Exertion had to be effective. It had to possess the quality of being properly channeled, of being suitable. The idea of impending death created not only the drama needed for overall emphasis, but also the conviction that every action involved a struggle for survival. Conviction that annihilation would result if one exertion did not meet the requirement of being annihilation would result if one's exertion did not meet the requirement of being efficacious. Efficacious, okay. Exertion also entailed efficacious, okay, of being efficacious. Exertion also entailed the idea of challenge, that is, the act of testing whether and proving that one was capable of performing a proper act within the rigorous boundaries of knowledge being taught. A man of knowledge was a warrior.
Okay. So this whole, yeah. We'll go into that tomorrow. This whole point of warrior is very important. And Joseph made a comment on one of the posts. He wrote it, as a comment, and I will come back to it. It was about a warrior and how, at least in indigenous culture, a warrior is seen as a protector, etc. I won't go into this concept of a warrior, and I have a lot to share because it's a big deal. And with Nobelia culture, there's a big, very deep philosophy around this term warrior, and we'll get to it tomorrow. However, I don't want to touch on. I want to stick here with this previous paragraph, this section. Let's look at it through the lens of the language of the superiority paradigm. Strenuous labor, effort, work, blah, blah, right? And also, everything for the superiority paradigm revolves around survival. Survive at all costs. No ethics involved in your survival. No thought of evolution, just survival. What is the point of surviving and it sucks? No point whatsoever. It's absolute, utter foolishness. Yes, way of impeccability and Moreness-Culture, specifically in the language of conceptionality, says, hey, we not only want to evolve, but enjoy the process of evolving. Yeah. Now we are living in attunement, which is all about optimizing evolution. Let me repeat that. Attunement is all about optimizing evolution. When you are in attunement, you're going to evolve in the best possible manner. It's fantastic. Like Beena and I every day. We have a blast. It's joyful. It's fun. It's awesome. You can see our delight and joy and earnest pleasure in doing what we are doing now. Why? Because we are learning and we love learning, and it's in tune with the universe. It's in harmony with the universe. It's in attunement. How fantastic is that, right? How fantastic is that? So I want to really, really point out that when we look at this section and we see it's written via the superiority paradigm, language, thinking, ideology, mindset, beliefs, etc., and how limiting it is. Yeah, you see the difference, Beena?
Yes.
If they, right now, all the participants, I don't have many participants of Way-Of-Impeccability, and they're all kind of a bit sidetracked right now, the few that are doing it. Life is just making life difficult for them, I guess. They're just overload and overwhelmed and stuff like that. Anyway, if somebody is watching this who's in Way-Of-Impeccability, Rasta, whoever, I would say, hey, take this section. Right? To become a man of knowledge is a matter of strength, labor, and do a repeat back on it and a takeaway, but also do a special repeat back / takeaway. Combine the two together. You are rewriting this in Moreness-Culture language, in Way-Of-Impeccability language, right? And you take out and you redo this so that, strenuous labor, we start to understand it as positive leverage, yes, etc. Right? And you're going to see a whole contrast between writing this in superiority paradigm language and in more culture language. Big difference. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Beena, I have to step away for a second. You share your thoughts, please, and then we'll wrap it up there as well.
Okay, so we are now wrapping it up because we are having problem with connectivity today, and we did because we choose to do. This is something, yes, we choose every single day, and sometimes if things are not okay in terms of connectivity, we say, okay, no, not today, or maybe like, okay, I'm busy, or still mostly this is something okay because of me. But it's all about appropriateness and also making deliberate choices. We never feel regret about. Yes, okay, yes, we do miss. Okay, oh yes, it would be fun. You don't miss your exertion where you have to really put effort and really make tired yourself, like really tired yourself for something and put a lot of effort and energy, and after that you feel drained. No, it never happened. That's why my answer was like, no, we don't do that. This is what, when you live via attunement, when you do what you really want to, when you are aware that this is something true to myself. People always say that, okay, this is okay, it has to align with your higher or true self. Yes, but it has to be like true to yourself also. This is okay. This is now my mind, my subconscious, my soul, my heart, everything is connected with this. That's why this is not an effort for me. That's why this is something I choose every single day. I choose to do that. No one can push you for like, okay, 4 or 5 years to continuously keep doing the same thing with the same excitement, with the same personality, same energy. No one can do this. At least this is something by force. I'm saying unless or until you really truly trust in that, unless or until you truly really love this. So whatever I'm doing to be here or to be part of it or to share with everyone, and of course to receive sharing from others, I love to do this. That's why I'm here. That's why my energy never gets down. Okay, physically, if I'm like, okay, having some fever or something, yes, okay, yeah, okay. Not because of that, okay, I have to think about it, it's too heavy, it's too deep, it's too much for me, it's too difficult. No, I never feel drained with these type of things. Yes, sometimes physically, sometimes I have other priorities in my life, okay, I have to do that. But even then I was like, oh yes, okay, what I'm learning right now, and then I
It's
come
all
and share.
appropriateness determines.
Yes, and then I come and share. So that's why my thoughts of the day are mostly about like, this is what I did today, and mostly it is something I learned from that. So if it would be a stress for me, after a month or two, I would say, okay, now I need a break. I want to do that. We never think of break because this is exactly completely in attunement with who we are. And when artists, if you ask any artist who really love to create art, they would never say that they want to have a break with that. This is their break. This is their fun time. This is their joy. This is their relaxation. I think, well, not everybody is that lucky. I can count myself in to be that lucky that I have my work, which is my relaxation, because I choose to. I set my priorities very clear. Okay, Syl is something like, okay, yes, he had his priorities clear from the very early age. I was not there. So I'm choosing it, and this is what I'm doing. That's why my Sundays are also like this. We always just have fun with this. This is brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Syl, for sharing. And whoever is watching us on Facebook and will watch us
Yeah.
recorded on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, please do click like and subscribe to this channel, because by doing so, you are going to at least 50% of your life, you are going to set some priorities, some appropriate priorities that you want goodness and value in your life. And by doing so, you are going to train the algorithm to bring more and more value into your lives. This is what the Moreness-Culture is all about. This is what deliberate living is all about. And tomorrow, Syl will be on his interview with celebrity interviewer Jill Nicolini, and then it will be fun.
What's today? Today is today Tuesday?
I guess.
Oh, today's
Oh,
Monday. Today's Monday.
sorry.
So it's
My bad.
Wednesday, not tomorrow.
Oh, because okay, so tomorrow, because of tomorrow, Tuesday, we have a national holiday here, and many things change, and
Yeah,
people were
yeah,
coming. Like a dry cleaner
yeah.
guy who always come on Tuesday, he came today, and the maid, and also so everything was changed today. So that's why I
Oh, so
assume in my
Beena
mind,
jumped today in time. Yeah.
yes. So I just said that. Okay, sorry, my bad. So yes, it will be day after tomorrow on Wednesday. But tomorrow we'll be here hopefully with more to share and more to receive, because sharing is 50%
Yeah,
receiving,
yeah,
and we love to receive. Thank you so
yeah,
much everyone for joining us. See you guys tomorrow,
yeah.
same time.
And it's also sharing. It's also 100% giving.
Oh yes.
Both. You can figure
Yes.
out that coexisting conundrum over there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Bye for now,
Brilliant.
everyone.
Brilliant. Brilliant. All right. See you everybody tomorrow. Bye bye everybody. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Love you all. Thank you, Norma, for coming and being here. And then we got a chance to send you an invite because the internet was so slow, but I'm thrilled that you're here. Thrilled that you're here. All right. Tomorrow. Bye bye.